So, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our first lecture on our collaboration series. We are very delighted to have Sophie Delhay here. Before I introduce you, probably I would like to first say some words on the idea of collaboration. So with our overarching theme of collaborations, we are looking at architecture as a collaborative act. Architecture is the result of negotiations, but also coincidences, the unforeseen tensions, or even synergies. We have been collaborating for as long as mankind has even existed, and yet they have become key concepts in the architecture scene in the recent years. We know probably you are also in collaborations, maybe working, or 8,000 agency or other offices came up recently to work in those forms of collaborations. So many architects today are explicitly characterized by collaborative practices and the invocation of a sense of community. Collaborations are a necessity, and we depend on working well together. But what happens when different interests meet? When does collaboration become productive? When does it become complicated? Or when does it even fail? Where is the line between consensus and compromise? What does good collaboration mean, not only in the context of one's own practice, but also in relation to collaboration with others? And what impact does collaboration have on the architecture that has been created? So we start with you, actually, Sophie. Thank you for coming here. We know it's been quite a detour for you to first come from Lausanne and then come to Luzern and then go on to Paris. You have been appointed professor and director for studies since last year at the EPFL in Lausanne. She also has her own office in Paris since 2008. She has been awarded with the very prestigious Schelling Architecture Prize for architecture. And her focus is on housing, actually. She has been leading architecture for housing, and that's also what your research is actually about. And I read recently also in an interview, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, you have to mistake me, that if you wouldn't do housing, then you wouldn't have done architecture. Is that right? Mm-hmm. So we are very looking forward to your lecture on building stories. A very nice title, by the way.
Thank you,
welcome.
Thank you for your words, for your presentation. I'm very, very happy to be here and very honored, in fact. I have to say first that I was quite in question with the collaboration topic, because I can talk about the collaboration in my team, at the office, or with engineers, everything, but I have to say that because I work only on housing design, I focus only on this topic, I've got a lack of collaboration with the inhabitants. And this guides all my work, in fact. So I decided to discuss this with you tonight, the fact that how can we do without meeting the inhabitants before doing the project? Because in France we don't have so many cooperative housing, and one of the most important way to do housing design, collective housing design, is the social housing. And when you work on social housing, you never meet the inhabitants. So it's quite problematic, because you want to address to them, but they are not there. So you just have the clients, the engineers, and your own mind, in fact, to work. So it's a strong topic, I think. Perhaps just before beginning, I would like to say a few words about housing, about habitat. A few years ago, I decided to focus on this, and I have to say that for some architects, housing design is a sort of minor art in architecture. But I don't consider it like this. I have to say that I'm a big advocate for this program, Because I think that when we are working on housing design, we get a sort of a strong power, because we are working on the main material of the city. It means, I don't know, it's perhaps 80% of the city, so it means that by changing the housing, you can change the city and you can change society. So it's a strong power to change things from the interior side. Also, the housing is a topic that waves strong links between spatial dimensions and social dimensions. I think that this is something that is really important in the housing. And at the moment we have to face to a major societal change that began several decades long, and it goes very quickly. You see, in, I don't know, 60 years, we go from the nuclear family to the individual people. So it means that we have to face to this sort of difficulty to have a sort of collective idea to live all together, because in the past, in the family, you have a sort of DNA of a little collective life, and after you have with your neighbors another one. But now the society is quite atomized, in fact. And this atomization is something that is very difficult to deal with. What is the scale of the atom, and how all these atoms can all live all together? This is one of the main points. So it goes very, very fast, and in the same moment, in the same time, sorry, in 60 years, the housing design decreased. The quality of the housing design decreased because of the capitalist mechanisms that have set in stone, in fact, the more profitable and the more optimized typologies. So as you see here, from the 60s to now, we have lost a lot of things. The transparency, the size of the dwellings, the fact that the kitchen are in the second level on the back of the housing. So a lot of qualities disappear, so we have to change with it, to deal with it, but it's quite difficult because it's full of norms, of regulations, of principles that doesn't allow us to be free, in fact. How to be free with all of these constraints when you are an architect about housing? This is one of my questions. And also, this is my French program, because I don't know if it's the same here, but I have to say that when we receive it, we're quite puzzled by this, because it means that each room has one size that is linked to his program. It means that the living room is maximum 22 meters square, the kitchen is 6 meters square, the bedroom for child is 9, the bedroom for adult or couple is 12, the toilets 4, the bathroom 5, and the hall or the circulations is 6. So it means that with all these numbers you can't do anything. You are not free, you just have to make like a puzzle to try to compose all of those rooms all together. And there are the surfaces, but also the forms. The forms are totally linked to norms. Norms for people who can't move without a chair because of the fire, because of electricity, because a lot of things that put us to have those kind of rooms that are just guided by those norms, in fact. And you see that, for example, in the room for the children, you can just put your bed and have your stuff in your in the furniture, but you can't, for example, work, study in your own bedroom. You can just, the room is to sleep. The living room is to have dinner and to be together. And for the couple, you just be the couple, and that's all. But we know that in our ways of life, it's more complicated because we work at home, for example, so we need, not in the night, as this room is supposed to be dedicated, but in the day you have to be in your bedroom, to be alone, to work, for example. And you can also have sports, you can make school at home. So you've got a lot of programs that before were just in the city, but now that are internalized in the dwelling. So the fact of the programs are guided by functions is totally absurd, in fact, because the functions are a multitude of functions and are not the same for everybody. And also it presumes that this apartment that is the equivalent of type 3, we call it like this in France, it means an apartment with 2 bedrooms, is inhabited by a couple and a child. But sometimes you live in an apartment of 64 meters square, you live on 3 students, for example, that are individualized people, and sometimes the couple is not the parents, it's the children. So everything is totally different now, and we just still have to deal with this, and it's not so funny, so easy. I don't know if you work on the collective housing program at school at the moment, but sometimes the exercise seems like that. You just have a number of rooms with those forms, with those surfaces, and the game is to compose with them, to try to make effective, but it's not about, your goal is not about the ways of life and the comfort and the light and the climate and the internal relationships, anything. So I will describe it. It's not, it's a sort of counter proposition that I made, but because I developed a strategy over the past few years that consists of working from identical rooms, square identical rooms, where the uses are not, well, each room is not assigned to one program. I mean, one square room can be a bedroom, can be a living room, can be a desk, can be what you want, a dining room, what you want. So I tried by this exercise to propose a possibility of freedom for the inhabitants to invite by themselves their own apartment. So I will come back to this one. I have to say also that to deal with this, you need some courage, you need some humor, you need to play the game, in fact. And it's true that in housing design, one of the most important questions is how to play the game without any partner player. who is the inhabitants. So yes, you need a kind of humor, a kind of culture, a discipline culture, but also you need other disciplines to help you. And I have to say that I'm inspired by a lot of artists, a lot of writers, and tonight I will just give you this example of Georges Perec, that is a French writer, and that took constraints to play, in fact, with his own discipline. He invents for himself some kind of protocols to reinvent his own discipline. And one of his, I don't know if you know them, because in France he's a really important writer, and so one of his most important book is La vie mode d'emploi, most important for architects, I suppose. That is a very, very big book that is talking about one building. And as I've shown you before, this collection of identical rooms, so it's quite strange because I try to deal with the freedom, but also in the same time I'm proposing some grids. So it's a sort of authority of the grid in front of the freedom of the inhabitants. And so it's funny because Georges Perec is a very, very good chess player, and is also creating mots croisés. So he's got a relationship with the grid, with the freedom, with the fact that he tries to push his discipline further with this. And I have to say that it's nice because the mot croisé is a way to put in space the words, to put in three. When you write lines, but when you make mot croisé, you do plans. In fact, you make the two dimensions. So obviously, Georges Perec is also mad of the question of the space. And it's interesting because there are a lot of different covers for the book. One is this one. This is a section cut of the building, and where we can see all the rooms that are inhabited in different ways. And I have to say that it's Haussmann building in Paris. And in Haussmann housing, all the rooms are quite similar. So here you can experiment the fact that each room is equal, but each life is different. And another cover is this one, is the puzzle. The puzzle is a sort of grid with little connectors, with little connections from one piece to another one. So is always dealing with the life and how can I say, and the authority of the building. I just share this because I discovered by studying Georges Perec, I discovered that the sommaire of the book is something that is totally interesting, because this is the section of the building like a grid. So you can see the vertical circulation and the different rooms and the different apartments, and on the roof the different very little apartments that are over there. And you can also recognize the black square that is, I suppose, linked, that is La Cave, that is not inhabited, and that makes some kind of links with the mots croisés that we've seen before. So he's always playing the game and try to find ways to go straight forward to describe a building. And as is a chess player, the piece of chess that he prefers is the horse. It's okay, is a horse. So he decided, I don't know where the one here, he decided to go from one room to another room by this step of the horse, and to go from the 1 to the 2. You know, the horse is 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. So here it goes all along the building from one room to another one by this game. So it also it shows us that the grid is also a way to play for, to be free for inhabitants, but also for the writer here. So it's also a way to play the game as an architect. I would like just show you another something else, because Perec is a sort of illustration of the question of the geometry, in fact. That is very, very important when you deal with the plans of apartment, with the combinations, etc. So the space is one important part of the housing design, and the social part is also important. I was invited to an exhibition that was organized by Roberto Gargiani, that is a great historian, around la Villa Bezos from the Le Corbusier et Jeanneret, in Carthage, and he asked us to propose one drawing about the house. We were totally free. And so this is the plan, and we had a lot of plans, historical ones, cuts, etc., sections, etc., drawings from Le Corbusier, but we also had this very interesting thing that is the words of the ancient inhabitants about the house. So they explain their remains, leurs souvenirs of this house. So they explain where did they have the meals, how do they live with the son, with the family. Everything is described, and it's very, very interesting to have a sort of description of the house that is not a plan, that is just life inside of the house. So we decided to work from all these descriptions by the inhabitants, and to design, to draw everything that appears in the house. And it shows us that life is quite freer than the plan. So it's very interesting for architects to think that you don't control the things. That is very important, because even if you make some strong choices, the life is stronger than the plan. So you feel better when you make some choices, some strong choices. So one important drawings for me, it's a drawing, you know, when we have finished a building, we come back 2 years after to discuss with the inhabitants and to know how do they live in our apartment. And I will come back to this one, but one day we discovered that when you connect 4 kitchens around a collective space, it's incredible the way it connects all the neighbors all together. And we do this because we bring lessons for the inhabitants for the other project that we'll have in the future. So about the room, the grids, etc., I will show you. I don't come back here. three projects that have the same kind of protocol, as Perec should say. And I've got for those projects three guidelines, who are that the housing is a collection of identical rooms, that each room is free to use, and that each room is a part of a network of rooms, the puzzle that I've shown you before. What does it mean? It means that before, when you work traditionally in a collective building, you always try to work with the combinations of apartments. Here, it's not the same scale. It's not a combination of apartments. It's a combination of rooms. It means that the scale of thinking is totally different, because we don't think about the family, but we think about one unit. So this is an individual scale that is in a collective project. So the scale of the apartment disappears in favor of the scale of the rooms and the scale of the collective block. So it's linked to these societies that is atomist that I was talking about at the beginning. So three projects, a number of rooms. One apartment is 4 rooms in the first project, 5 rooms in the second one, and 3 rooms for the third one. And so the sizes of, because the one apartment has always the same surface, but the size of each room is different. You see here the different sizes, from the smaller to the bigger. It's not ranged. Yes, 16, 13, and 20 meters square. So the first one is my first project. I was 13 years old, and we were in a cooperative form. It was my first office. We were 5 partners, and it was our first project of housing design. I have to say that we were not idealists, but we were kind of, how can I say? We didn't know a lot of things, so we thought that we could do everything. So it's a project of 210 rooms. Just the situation, it's between public part and pavilion houses that you see in the north. And you see the project is very strict, very geometrical. It's 10 very thin buildings that are parallel like this. So here is on the side of the garden, public garden, and here in the other side. So it's 10 buildings, but in fact it's 5 pair of buildings, and they enclose individual gardens. You see the 5 pairs. It's a very dense project. In fact, it's 120 dwellings per hectare. That is as a collective building and his garden, his public garden. So it's very intense. And here you see the 55 55 dwellings here and 55 dwellings in the housing. So you see the density of the operation. So the idea of the project was very simple. So the house is a collection of identical rooms that are all around a garden that is a sort of one of the rooms that is an external room. And the 5 rooms are arranged principally on this side of the garden. It's a duplex. And what is quite particular is the fact that one of the collection is in the other side of the garden. It means that you have to go outside to go at home, in your home. Why that? Because of 2 things, because of the urban situation, because we wanted to be very dense, so we have a strong relationship from your apartment to the building that is just in front of you. So we said, okay, so in the other side of the garden, I'm always at home, so it's me, it's not the neighbor. So this is for it's an urban solution, but it's also a way to assume the fact that now we are not in a nuclear family, and sometimes you need to have a sort of externality to work, to have your own bedroom that is not yours, for adolescents, for teenagers, for old LLS person, for a lot of things. So we propose this. So they are all together, and you understand that the gardens, you never live in one building, you always live principally in one, and secondly in the other one. And the individual gardens are here, and nobody can see in your own garden. It's a very secret garden, a private one. There is no windows from neighbors that can see. It's a very private external room. So here are the plans. So I don't go in details. So the piers here you see with the private gardens. So there are 2 public streets and 2 strips that welcome common gardens. So it's a project of 220 or 10 rooms, but it's also a collective project. Because when you live here, you are the purple family, for example. You enter here by your garden, and you live principally here, and secondly here with your own garden. And you've got a secret door here that opens on the collective space that connects you with the blue family, with this white one and this white one. So here you meet people that you never cross, because here you come from here, here you come from here, here you come from here, and here you come from here. So it's a way to wave all the inhabitants all together. So it's a sort of idealistic system, but it means that he is my neighbor, and he is my neighbor, and he is my neighbor, and he is my neighbor. So it's one unity also. So I don't see everything. So here you see the secret door. You are in the garden, it's your room, and you've got another door to the garden, the collective garden. And here your garden with your own room that is separated from the principal part. Upside here it's another room. And you see how exterior and interior are totally are creating relations inside of your apartment. There is not the house and the garden. Exterior and interior are totally present in your daily life. So here is one of the rooms, is a kitchen. The rooms here are 16 meters square. It means that for one bedroom for children, for example, it's huge. In the kitchen you can put a sofa, you can do a lot of things that you can't do in another way. You see that you don't have any corridors, you don't have any hall, you just have rooms to economize the surfaces. So here, for example, children wanted to share one room because it's very big, and to free up the other one to make a sort of big loft of 32 meters square for the children. So here this woman, oh sorry, so here is the garden. So you enter by all these little alleys, and the hall is the garden, in fact. You enter by the hall. So here. And one day, this is the drawing I shown before. I was returning here, and I discovered this birthday party, and I made a sort of survey because I said, wow, collective spaces are good. So there are a lot of collective spaces. Some of them are very much used and some of them not. So I wanted to know why, because of the people, because of the architect, what's happening. But I discovered that some of the different collective spaces were organized. It was hazard. I didn't thought about it before, but it was like that in the project because of different constraints. And I discovered that those ones who were very, very occupied by the different neighbors were a particular one, because one of the rooms is the kitchen, and the common spaces connect 4 rooms. And sometimes it appears that those 4 rooms are the 4 kitchens. And I realized, it's very simple in fact to realize this, but I realized that the kitchen has a sort of power, a social power, to connect the people. Because it's, if it was bedroom, for example, you get the noise, you get the intimacy, you get a lot of things that that is difficult to share with your neighbor. So the kitchen, I bring this lesson of this project about the kitchen. So for the second one, I will be quite, I will go fast. So here you see, it's a sort of translation of the program of my client here. And you see that you've got rooms that are all the same for for everything, and you've got loggia or terraces that are also a room of the collection. And you've got half rooms for the kitchen and for the bathroom that are the only things that are fixed in the plan, those 2 half rooms. So here you see 1, 2, 3, 4 equal rooms. 5, this one is an exterior space, and the 2 half rooms that are the bedroom, that are the bathroom and the kitchen. And the kitchen is always connected to the exterior because of the light, because of the ventilation, also because you can bring something, your food, from the kitchen, and you can open the window and put it outside. So you see that all the rooms are connected by sliding doors. So you don't have to do anything, just to open or to close. So it means that on the same space you can have 5 rooms or 1 big room when you want, for example. So with our clients we explain that nuclear family is okay in this. It's experimental, but you have to also include everybody. So here you see that you can have 2 bedrooms here, or here, or here, for example. So it means that your living room is allowing a sort of transparency like that. or your living room and the loggia is a diagonal. That is, I think, the better solution, because the diagonal is the longest dimension that you can find in a space. So it's a way to, yes, to transform it in a huge space. And a more traditional one that where the living room is just around the loggia. And here you see the exterior space, the windows on the kitchen, and this room that is a central one that connects the two ones, and the other one that is on this side. And here I'm on this room here, and I'm connected to the terrace, and here is the kitchen. So for half of the dwellings in this building, we enter in the center of the plan, as you've seen, and for the other half, you enter by the exterior space. So it means that when you enter by the exterior space, you get two doors to enter at home. So it means that if you want to close the sliding door here, you can have, for example, your little office if you want to begin to be an architect and just to travel to work at home. So on the day your client is coming here without going out inside, but on the night you can reopen the sliding door, and have a larger space for your domestic space. So it's a sort of project where everything is arranged in a repetitive structure, but you will see it's a repetitive structure with a lot of different qualities depending the place of the different rooms. On the side of the garden, each room has this sort of facade. You know, in the dwelling, rooms are very small. So you've got a very intense relationship with the facade. So it's very important to have windows that are nice. So here it's a place where you can sit, you can open the window, and you can feel in between the outside in the garden or at home. It's a way also to escape to the community that lives at home with you. And in the other side, it's a street. So here you are standing like that. So you can here you can put your stuff all around the window, and here you can open here and here to free up those walls to put in another way the furniture in this room. So it allows different configurations. So you can be there, and also you can enter in this tiny space and close the curtain and be alone in the street. It's also a relation that is really nice when you are in your domestic space. So it's a big step. I come from the interior side to the exterior side. You recognize the loggia here, and if you don't have a loggia because you're not in this part, you get terraces that are here. So the building has two faces. One that is very massive, that is very collective, where each window is the same, so you can't know what is where, so it's a sort of protection of the intimacy. And it shows the sort of collectivity of the spirit of the project. So just here you've got a collective loggia that is a collective kitchen that is here, and we decided to put it there because there was an extraordinary tree. So to share it with the entire community of inhabitants, we decided to have the loggia in the trees, so everybody can profit. And in the other side, it's the contrary. It's a very individual scale of the room that appears. So this project deals with the individuality, the unity of the room, and the collectivity and the unity of the entire building. So we were, after this project, I will just finish with this one. After this project, I have to say that we were a bit fed up with little rooms. We were with very little rooms, very little spaces, and we wanted to free up this. So we were in a competition in Munich, and the program was really nice, very big, with a lot of descriptions of everything. It was a cooperative, it was the first time for me, but there was just one line that I put in yellow, that is, the program, they describe it like this. They said it's a building for 300 people that are organized in changing unities. Is it clear? Mm-hmm. So we said, so 300 people, 300 rooms. You remember before it was more rooms, so here it's just 300 rooms. And we decided to make a sort of pyramid of the typologies, to make the pyramid of the generations. So the type can grow and can decrease, increase, etc. by having rooms that are connected to your dwelling and tomorrow to the neighbor one. So we had to decide to erase one part of the program, because if you just have one room per person, it means that you get 3 bedrooms, but you don't have any living rooms. So we decided to have collective rooms and individual rooms. So here you get the green one is a collective, and the pink one is the individual. So just to describe a little bit, the plot is a square and it's a courtyard building, and we just have the half of the courtyard. Don't ask me why it stopped like this. It's not in the middle, it's like this. So the rooms are 20 meters square. So it means that when you've got 20 meters square for your own bedroom, it's, in fact, you have your own living room. Each room is a living room, an individual and personal one, and a collective one. So it means for the couples or not couples, you've got your living room and a collective one. So the traditional living room disappears, but we kept the kitchen. So it means that, in fact, here you got all the individual rooms, and here are all the kitchens, but the kitchens are 20 meters square, so you've got huge kitchens. And the kitchens are in this side because all the dwellings are connected by a coursive. So it means that the collective life of the cooperative is in this side, and that individually you are directly connected to the city. It's a relationship that I really like in the housing, to have a possibility to be individually connected to the city. So we proposed some switch. So those corridors are corridors that can be cut here or here or here. So if you open this wall, you can connect, disconnect, reconnect, disconnect. So it's a sort of big machine to have a lot of possibilities for 300 people. So for example, now it can be inhabited like this, and tomorrow it can be inhabited like that. So here you see the dwelling. So here is the kitchen. The kitchen is a double-faced kitchen. It means that you can cook from the interior side and you can cook from the exterior side. So it means that your common distribution, that is an external distribution, is also a place where you can have apéro, you can just open your windows, because here there is no intimacy, so everybody can come and discuss with you. And the bathroom is on the second here, in the back, because we get an individual exterior place. So you enter by this way, here, and there you've got 1, 2, 3, or 4 rooms that are connected or disconnected by those switches, or by those corridors. So here you see the kitchen that is double oriented, like that, from the interior side with the corridor, the external corridor, and the little loggia that is a personal one. And here the little corridor where you can connect or disconnect the different rooms. So what you discover here is Georges Perec. I didn't remember that he was here, but you discover that each room has a different window. So we created them from the interior size. So the allège, how do you call this part of the that is under the window? The allège. No, you don't know? So the allège, I will take it like this. The allège is, there is no allège, in fact, here. So this is a balcony. You always have your furnitures here. Here it's a bench, as you've seen before. Here it's the desk if you want to work, for example. Here it's a table, 70 centimeters. And here it's a bar, 1 meter high. So it means that from the exterior side, you see from the city all the different individualities that are inhabiting inside of the dwelling. So from the courtyard, the facade is very repetitive. It's a collective one, but you've got just one type of room. It's the kitchens. So you have 100 kitchens that are connected by the courtyard and the circulations. And face to the city, you've got, it's another version of the project that I presented before. You see the massivity, the collectivity, but that is structured by very individual scale. If you have a grid with all the same window, you feel as you've got a collective that is different, that when you express the intimacy, the individuality of each of them. I have to say that each apartment is different because we changed the type of windows for each apartment. It means that here we get the 4 windows, here the four rooms, but we change the things in a mathematical way. It's not hazard. Just to make sure that, in fact, there are a lot of possibilities of different apartments. It's a repetitive, but always with the question of the differences that can arrive. I've got a lot of things to say after, but I think that we can stop here. It's as you want. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a very nice image to stop, actually. Are there questions? unfortunately arrived a bit late, but is this a built project? Is it?
No, it's a competition. Unfortunately, we arrived on the second position.
Oh no.
Oh no. Yeah, it was an open
project. Like,
sorry?
Would have been interested if it works now, like in use, if they use the kitchen from outside. And this.
Yes, but I don't know. I know that from the inside. I know that for the first project I presented, the kitchen has this role of social connection that I tried to push for further here in this project. This can be used like that, but it's also a way to deal with the question of the fact that everybody is circulating in front of your home. So the kitchen, the fact that the kitchen is there, is a way to connect and not always disconnect and take the distance. Because one factor of the atomization is also the fact that we are, as architects, we always drawing limits and distance between things. So we try to connect always to make a collective thing. So the kitchen can be a sort of a programmatic tool, I think.
Was this also maybe a finding which you took over from the other project you showed when you were saying that you discovered somehow that the kitchen was the key factor to bring people together?
Yeah,
no?
Yeah. Perhaps I stopped there, but I just wanted to say that I worked a lot on the question of the equal rooms. I've got a lot of projects about this, etc. And now I'm working on this and the kitchen, and at EPFL with my lab we are working on this topic of the powers of the kitchen: social power, political power, climatic power, and hedonistic power of the kitchen. The kitchen is really something that is interesting, because you can propose to have neutral spaces to live, but also you can transform some technical rooms that are very small, like that, like the kitchen, in a sort of powerful room.
I think it's very interesting, this concept of same size rooms, but it's also a question of size of the rooms. So you have like the first two projects that were different size, and that it seems to me like the second one is really going to the limit of how big the room should be. I mean, for a bedroom, okay, but for a séjour, maybe it's. Do you have like did you make any experience also in comparison to bigger rooms?
I have to say that it is really the minimal one, because when you choose the size, you have to resolve all the norms for all the rooms. So it's a lot. Because for the bedroom, for example, you need to have furnitures to put your stuff. So you need this, you need the circle for the people, you need distances between the door and the window. So you got so much things, and I really wanted to have square rooms in this project, because a square is non-orientated. So it means that the relationship of each room with the different orientation is equal also. It's very, very neutral. So it can be plus petit. It can be like that. But I have to say that in this project, the living room is 2 rooms. So without the kitchen, it's 23 meters square. Sorry, it's 32 meters square. And in France, you never find any living room without the kitchen with this size. So this is a big space organized by small spaces. So it's also nice, because, you know, we always have the dream of the open space for living. But in fact, sometimes for domestic space, it's nice to have a lot of little spaces to do little things. So this is quite different. I don't have any religion about the size. It's always configurations that creates new possibilities, new impossibilities. So you have to deal with this. Oui?
How do you deal with materials, colors, and details? Because let's say I have the feeling in terms of scale, it's very much, let's say, on a large scale thought. But how do you go into these topics of materials, details, and maybe also colors?
About details, I always try to be coherent with the fact that I erase the scale of the dwelling, the traditional dwelling. So I think in two scales: the collective dimension of the building, and the individual one with the window. So it means that, and each window is very repetitive. So you have to when you make an error, it's a repetitive error. So this window, for example, we made a one-to-one scale mock-up in our office to make sure that everything is okay. And this is something that is really detailed, because I have a lot of, for example, you've got a lot of things, because it's social housing, so it means that it's very cheap, very, very cheap. So, for example, here we wanted to have a light for the room, but also a light for this very little space. But we can't have two lights in the same room because of the price, because of... So, for example, that's why on the top it's a lamp, in fact. Oh, here. It's a lamp here. And as it's cheap, we don't have any details to put it off if the lamp is burned. So it's something that is fixed. And that's why we had little holes here. It's just to have the light when you are inside, and also to change by just putting the hand. So there are a lot of mutualization of detail like that. I have to say that for the facade, we didn't decide the external facade. We designed this and put it on the plan. The window is always in the middle of the room, just in front like that. And after it created the external one. So there's
one-to-one mock-ups as a strategy.
Yeah, yeah. The mock-up is just this. Yeah. So it means that, yeah. So it means that this is the other side of the main facade for us. But it's not so simple, because if we just do this, it's horrible. So for example, here we decided that the garde-corps is in the interior side because it's more beautiful, and it's also a way to have a sort of public object inside of your apartment, so it makes connections. About colors, it depends. I have to say that it depends on the entreprise, about the way it's built. For the first project, it was a concrete building. Concrete, it was 15 years ago, so we were absolutely not in the actual debate with the concrete. But the debate was not an ecological problem, it was an image for social housing that the client didn't want. He didn't want that we're in an apartment like that. So that's why we used the color to work with it. And I've got another project that is a yellow one, but I don't have it. Yes, so it really depends. It really depends of the logic of the urban situation, of the condition of building it with the different economic questions, and also the way we try to draw from the interior side to the exterior one. Thank you for a question. Yeah?
Have you experienced some limits to the system? And also I'm wondering if you tried some other proportions to combine?
So if you try to?
Other proportions, more rectangular or something. Now it's all square.
The two first one are square, and the third one is rectangular.
Yeah.
I have to say that I have an old competition where we worked with circles, but in a urban scale. But because the circle is an incredible way to have the most, the biggest relationship from the interior side to the exterior side. But it's always a question of proportion. For example, in this project, you know, to have this loggia, this loggia creates, in the room that is underneath, creates a ceiling that is lower. So our client accepted that all the rooms are very high to have one of the rooms that is not. So it means that here in France it's you never have it, but it's 2 meters and 85 centimeters. It's totally different than 250. And it's true that my goal at the beginning was that the inhabitants, when they arrive in this apartment, they discover the spaces and said, what is it? I don't know this kind of space. And there is the plan, the square, the surface, but also the size that creates a sort of new, yes, an inedit, something that is new for them. Yes.
Thanks for this talk. It was really interesting to hear. You mentioned in the beginning that your collaborators were the inhabitants that are, of course, while planning, not there yet. But you also said that you revisit after 2 years, and I was just wondering, I mean, it's a mathematical or a geometrical plane, and whether somebody who lived in it for a certain moment, how strong do you think is that impact of, let's say, shape, geometry, or this rhythm? And do you feel it when you walk in there? And do they get it? And does it change anything, or is it just like a system in order to have this?
No. What is quite surprising is the fact that even if it's special, you can inhabit them in a real traditional way. So some of them are using it like that, but for certain type of households, it meets the needs of the people. I often explain this this story because for me it was something that was incredible. I was visiting the first project, you know, with the room that is in the other side. So it's really special. And I met a guy, and I said, so what are you doing in this room? And he said, I put the living room. I said, the living room? Because as architect, the living room is the core. It's not something that you put outside of your main part. So it was so surprising for us that I said, but why that? And he said, but it's wonderful for us because I've got a daughter that lives in her mom, at her mom apartment every day, except 1 week Une semaine toutes les 2 semaines. 1 week twice.
Once every 2 weeks? No.
One weekend. One weekend every 2 weeks. Yes, sorry. 1 weekend, and it's difficult for me because being a father is living with my daughter, and she's not there. And when she comes, I want to honor her, and I want to go to the cinema, to the restaurant. But if I do this, I'm not at home. So I'm puzzled with this problem. So we decided to have our own bedroom in the main part with the kitchen, but there is no bedroom because she's got his little living room. She's got she can work and do and play and everything. So do I. And when she comes, we go outside, inside of my home. So for him, it was a sort of ritual to honor this kind of difficulty to make a party that is there, but not outside. So sometimes the projects are opening new possibilities, new forms of reality. That it was the same before. It has this problem, but the project, he found in the project the possibility to live as he wants to live with her. So it's not, I don't know, perhaps it's 15% of the dwellings, but for me it's very important to have this 15%. And I have to say also that in social housing you get a lot of rollover. So it means that now it's like this, and perhaps in 10 years or in a longer way, it will be in different ways. So it's very important. And some couples say to me, it's our bedroom, so we let the children in the main part, and we feel as if we are on holidays. Because we cross the garden, so it's an hedonistic way to have a bedroom. So some experience like that for me are very important. Yes.
Did you also ever work with the existing structures and transform them into social housing? I mean,
not yet.
Do you think this theory could also be applied on?
Yeah.
Because it's also kind of challenging then, no?
Yeah, of course. I think that with the equal rooms, because we are focusing on norms of housing buildings, we can do things. But if we put off this constant, we can have a lot of possibilities that we can't experiment without transforming. I think it's really a great thing.
Yeah. And, oh, sorry, no go.
Maybe just one more. How come you placed rectangular tiles in this project?
Sorry?
How come you placed rectangular tiles in this project?
Oh.
And no, just and maybe the question goes back to Eve's question of the detailing also, because I don't know until which scale do you play in a way the Perec game, or what would you say? What would he have done if he would have detailed one of your projects?
Yeah, because you understood that the question is that I couldn't do it. But I think that, for example, here, at the beginning it was a square, round, but as if it's quite small, it makes some noise, you know, because it's small. And because it's light, yes, it's light. So we decided to have double ones, and it was more expensive, to have a sort of massivity and a sort of comfort for the apartments. So sometimes we can make this type of choice to have a good condition to be.
But it's a double square then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's about,
So
yeah,
it's
of course.
this.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your attention.